Three, two, one. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Consciously Awakening podcast series, episode 6. Today we have again Felicia Noel. Hey, my dear, thank you and welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. Good to see you again.
No
My pleasure.
problem. No problem. No problem. So we're diving deep again. We have some hot topics, hot spiritual topics, and Felicia has a really expanded spiritual perspective, very conscious and very advanced from my perspective. And today we are going deep into the idea of the higher self, indeed many more topics, but let's start with the higher self. Actually, what is the higher self for you, and how do you connect to your higher self?
So the beautiful question that you sent me is, can we ever lose our higher self?
Yeah.
And the answer is we can never lose that because it is our essence.
Yeah.
And we birth all realities and all creation from that place in our being, from pure being.
So I guess the higher self is not only about our own subjective experience, it's more about universal consciousness, maybe. No, it's the thing that is in all things, and it's also the guidance that happens in the heart center. It is the natural flow of life. It is the pure essence in which we are created and in which we are creating. So yeah, I'm sure that we cannot lose our higher self, because I've asked this question because I felt disconnected from a guidance that I used to have, and I felt like I was scared because I was afraid that I was losing that guidance and that I was losing a part of myself. And this is why I have asked you this question.
So today we are going to see how we create that illusion that we lose ourselves, the mechanism, how we create the illusion.
Okay, let's go into it and see how we create it.
Yeah, because it's only an illusion. And the reason I am saying that is, so now that we know we are core frequency, we're the source of all that is. Pure essence of being.
Yeah.
And the human genome contains all life forms in existence.
Everything.
Absolutely everything in existence.
Wow. Even
and
beyond
so,
existence.
Everything
in existence.
Because you could see we birth existence into being.
So in a way, we are the creators of the universe.
Yes, exactly. And so now we know that is our blueprint. And the soul blueprint is beingness. And that what that translates into is perceiving. Because we know we are transmitters and receivers of frequencies. That's how we there is no reality out there.
Okay. So there is no separated reality.
No, because there is no reality outside of ourselves. We perceive it through our five senses. We read it, we interpret it.
Yeah.
Even
we are taught that in classical physics, we are taught that there is a material world. And that there is a separated external world outside of our consciousness. But really, when we really become aware and when we really open our senses, we realize that we are that consciousness.
Yes. And even the simplest, there is a video on YouTube that explains how the retina works. Yeah, because we have these five senses in order to interpret our perception. frequencies. We interpret frequencies.
Okay, okay.
And we use thoughts and feelings in order to talk to each other. That's the language we use to interpret. For example, if I were to look at color purple and you look at color purple, we assume that we see the same purple.
But we don't necessarily do, right?
No, exactly, we don't.
Oh.
We receive hues or a frequency range of purple.
Okay, okay.
Individually, yeah, because everything
Yeah.
is the experience that we have is our own authentic or unique perceiving or interpreting. Huh?
Okay.
Because
Yeah. So
sometimes,
what does it
let's say,
depend?
if I
It
ask you
depends.
what kind of
Sorry.
purple, I'm sorry.
No, go on, go on, go on, go on, go on. I'll
Because
keep the
if I
question
ask,
for.
let's say if we were 2 or 3 people here, and if I ask you what kind of purple I'm wearing, if there are 3 people in the audience, they would describe it very differently in hues.
Yeah, but in an objective way, it would be described as the same purple, but in their own subjective experience would be different. Yeah.
Yes, because we interpret frequencies. Yeah, that's how we read beingness. We read the state of being, because when what purple means to you is different than what it means to me. Just a little bit.
And this gives us the opportunity to realize that everybody has their own subjective reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
They all do, because they are going to describe in their own authentic way how they feel or think about this purple. Or about everything else for that matter.
Yeah.
So in other words, we create at the level of our beingness, because we always speak about how we think or feel in the ethereal. It's very ethereal. Nobody can touch a thought or a feeling.
So we think and feel in higher realities, in higher densities.
Yeah, we think and feel at the level of beingness, a frequency range.
Yeah, we think and feel. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, because what is really matter here, or physicality, from our knowledge, what we truly know, how matter comes into being, is we bring our focus. Yes.
Yeah.
We bring our focus into any kind of subject that is of relevance to us. And then we keep describing it to ourselves through a state of being, how we feel about it, or how we think about it.
Yeah.
And we think and we feel a lot, and we bring momentum, and the science calls it mass or density, but it's a momentum in our consciousness.
Yeah, exactly. So in a way, everything that we have discovered in science is discovered through our 5 senses. Maybe is discovered through our own way of perceiving, which may be limited or not. So, but I think that human consciousness, in a way, is maybe it's not necessarily limited. I think it's unlimited, but it is evolving in steps. It is evolving in cycles. It is constantly, you cannot, I don't think that you cannot know everything at once. You will get to know, you will get to discover everything, and you will get to know everything, but you will have to, in a way, go through it in cycles. So in a way, you may have heard about the idea that you don't know what you don't know. And this is interesting, because this actually gives us birth to curiosity. And curiosity is creativity. Curiosity is intelligence. Curiosity is higher awareness. So yeah.
So you said something very important in your sentence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now, if you clarify something, maybe without not knowing. So we are all that is, we house all frequencies in the universe and all life forms. So instead of saying we're evolving, because where are we? We are discovering more and more of who we are.
Yeah.
Because it's not like we know a little and now we grow into beingness. We are beingness, and then we are discovering what we're all about,
Hmm.
little by little, out of curiosity,
Yeah.
out of playfulness.
Out of consciousness. It's
Yeah.
interesting. It's so interesting, and it's more interesting the fact that everybody has an individual purpose, and everybody with their individual purposes and with their own ways subjective with their own subjective ways of discovering themselves, we get to actually connect ourselves into oneness, and this has created the purpose of planet Earth. This has created a collective purpose. But it's important to follow our individual purpose, to not get lost in somebody else's idea about life, and to really awaken that playfulness within ourselves, and to really find our own ways of living life, and to have our own ways of questioning life. Because you may be passionate about anything. It's okay to be passionate about elephants. It's okay to be passionate about eating chocolate, maybe. But
Yes,
we actually got to follow that individual purpose. It's super important to
that's
follow our individual purpose.
that's the trail. That's the real trail that you unfold that journey of Earth. There isn't such a thing as a one Earth solid place. It's a
Mhm.
each soul has its own individual journey that they call it the experience of Earth.
What's a soul?
A soul is being
Soul. Okay. I understood something else. I'm sorry. Oh, soul. Yeah, it's soul. Okay. I got it.
it's soul.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it could be because if somebody stays with their passion, that means they're totally connected to what is of relevance to them, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
if eating chocolate is your passion in your life, that should be the first thing, because that's the way you fine tune to core frequency very
And that.
easily. There's no
Yeah.
effort there.
That's the
No
way you
effort.
connect. That's the way you connect.
That's the way you remind yourself, I am connected, I'm core frequency. There is no effort involved. You cling or you tweak with yourself very easily through your passion, because your passion is calibrated it through pure essence of being.
Same
So
time, don't eat too much chocolate, because we still we still need you alive. We still need your heartbeat to not be too pumped up because of the chocolate.
yeah, but it could be in many ways. It could be chocolate, it could be a garden, it could be a
Yeah,
certain a
anything.
certain certain topic, something that when you get involved in it, it's like you forget time, you forget everything.
Yeah,
You
individual.
become time, you become timeless.
Yeah, and how do you think that we could find individual passion? How do you think we could find a more, let's say, a more alive way of being? Because we live in this matrix and this society, in a way. I think that it has a program that keeps us stuck, in a way, with all the technology, with all the I don't know, ways of just being superior or inferior. I think that we lose our uniqueness, and we are trying to be like somebody else, maybe. How do we find our own unique passion from your perspective?
Okay, so you already know it because it calls you to itself. It could be in a moment. Yeah, it could be I'll go for a walk, I'll eat chocolate, I'll take a break, I'll take a nap, I'll speak to my friend.
Hmm.
Um, so each moment it will call you to itself. You will call it through that feeling of joy. That's how you recognize it, or excitement, or curiosity, or discovery. It's constantly calling itself to itself, really.
So
It speaks
every moment has guidance. Every moment has guidance.
every single moment. And so it's a matter of our paying attention, yeah. Because every single moment will speak in such a, it's a very subtle way. It's a very subtle way, the way it does speak. And sometimes it's very obvious, though. If we don't hear it, it could come very obvious through an illness, or through being tired, or to being exhausted or overwhelmed, the feeling of overwhelming. But that only means the feeling of overwhelming is very important, because I always speak about the mechanism of consciousness, because we create through the mechanics. There's a fundamental science of being, the mechanics of consciousness.
Yeah.
And the moment we feel overwhelmed, that's, like you said, it's guidance system. It's saying you're beginning to effort. And our tendency is to go and then spend our time in what the effort is all about. And then we end up in a mirror of, in a set of belief system, or we call it a matrix, or we call it a projection of our own expectations, because we have belief system, we have expectations about certain things.
Okay, so what you're saying is that every experience that hasn't been experienced creates a limitation and creates a belief system, because you haven't experienced something and now you have a lack in consciousness about that desired experience that you wanted to experience. And now you have created maybe energetic blocks, and you may have created a block in your higher self stream guidance, in the stream of the guidance of your higher self.
Yeah, let's see how we can unfold it at the level of the mechanism, the structures of consciousness.
I have one more question. If we create these blocks, how do we uncreate them?
Yes, exactly. Because if we create it, if we know how to create it, that's the minute we understand how we create it, it gets uncreated on its own. So let's start somewhere else. So now we know that the human genome contains all life forms in existence, meaning here plants, animals, stones, every life form is an aspect of our being. Yes?
Yeah.
So we know that plants and animals are like us as well. They are in beingness. A flower or a plant or an animal doesn't get up in the morning and say, what should I do with my life today?
Yeah, maybe there are two cows who are doing podcasts now, like we are doing now.
Yeah.
On Zoom.
So we are the same way. Yeah, the living being, the living being that we are, it's because its blueprint is beingness, it just is, because being and creating, now that we know that reality outside of ourselves is a perception, it's only a perception, it doesn't exist. That means being and creating happens simultaneously. Very important, because this is where we have to stop in our consciousness and rediscover this basic fundamental principle that we are the embodiment of this. So naturally, the living being that we are is like a flower, like a plant. It's through joy of being, is the way it is in any moment, with belief systems, without belief system. It just is. It's in the isness of the moment.
Huh? Yeah.
And then the way we create the matrix or the veil, or we call it sickness, illness, effort, what else? Block. Yeah?
Yeah.
Is when we arrive in that consciousness, because flowers and animals don't filter to any parameters. No,
Hmm.
neither do we. But we have this mechanism in consciousness that we decided, let's see how we could create the illusion of lack, that what we really are is still, it's not there.
Okay. Okay.
So you
So we
see,
know, in a way, everything that we have created, even if it seems like it's happening out of purpose, it's still on a purpose. And the
yeah,
purpose is for us to actually unlock it and really rediscover ourselves and rediscover ourselves constantly. I get
yeah,
it. I get it.
yeah. The purpose is when we create that, we know how we create the illusion, because there isn't such a thing as lack, is when we filter, or we call it the veil, or we call it a filtering consciousness. And we create right there in that moment that illusion of separation from beingness. But it's just an illusion, and it's very purposeful. This concept of mirror or projection is very, it's at the leading edge of discovering in 3D. It's very, very purposefully done. We created it that way so we could slow down consciousness. And because we know where all that is, let's just create the illusion that it's not so.
Okay,
And
so in a way, we at a higher vibrational level have chosen to incarnate here in order to challenge ourselves.
let's say at the level of beingness, because otherwise we get into the so-called, what I call it, the binary code, that there are higher levels of consciousness and lower level of consciousness, and there isn't such a thing. Then
Okay.
we get into the so-called myth of ascension, that only good vibrations are good and bad vibration, and there isn't such a thing. Just
Okay.
like
Okay.
we spoke last time about let's say a friend of yours, you live in an apartment flat and he lives on a 10th floor and you live at the bottom. Huh?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that he's higher in consciousness and you're lower. It just
True.
means his perspective is just going to be very different, and he has chosen through his passion, through his focus, to look at beingness from that point of view. So he might see the top of the trees, and as he is describing to you the top of the trees and the city and the horizon, and you might be describing to him the trunk of the trees and what grows at the bottom of the trees and the roads, and both of your perspectives are of equal value.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like seeing 6 and 9 from 2 points of view. You may see the same thing,
Yeah,
or you may see it differently. Yeah. So in a way,
yeah.
there is no higher or lower. Everything in a way is the
No,
same thing.
there isn't such a thing. There isn't such a thing, a higher or lower. It's just a different focus. We shift focus, and then we perceive, or you could say you decide in your being to perceive the one
Yeah.
from a different point of view. And then you move back to the 10th floor and he moves down to the first floor. You just shifted focus, that's all. And then you're sharing your point of view. And usually when we get, then the belief system comes in and says, he's describing reality from 10th floor and you're describing it from the bottom floor, and people argue about it. It's like they're both valid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? We
Yeah.
try to convince each other, no, reality is like this and that.
Yeah.
It's like
Exactly.
they're both as valid as they could be.
Yeah. True. It's the same
So
thing. It's in a way, yeah. There is a game called Dota 2, and there is a hero there that says it's all the same to me, and he also says enlightenment stands ready, and he's a magician, you know. So yeah, it's all we're all one source, we're all one consciousness. We're
Enlightenment is like pure awareness, like you are aware, yeah, like pure awareness. When we begin to filter, you have to look at your filters, how you set them up. You're the one. You have expectations for on other people, or how you behave, or how they behave, or what they're gonna say to you, or all kinds, yeah, all kinds. At the moment, you have to notice in every single moment when you begin to effort, yeah,
yeah.
because either your body or your mind, something, your guidance, your own guidance system, you will have something in your mind or in your body begins to feel like that. And that very guidance system is saying, now you have taken beingness and filtering through something. And that's how we create the so-called social engineer persona. It's a persona. Yeah, we have the living being that is aware when this persona character that plays in your own reflection, because it gets on a stage, and this stage, it's only showing you what you are believing in. That's all. It's not real. The damn thing is not real. It's very important.
Wow.
It's the
So
most important discovery, when you discover that when you're playing with your belief system, you're not in a natural timeline of Mother Earth. You're not. You're in a projection. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a
Interesting.
mirror, what you
Interesting.
choose to believe in.
So in a way, when we let go of the chattering of the mind, we enter into our heart space.
We don't let go of the chattering of the mind because we can't. They are streams in consciousness, and you see they keep going simultaneously, just like radio stations. We're just aware they're gonna keep going. So your belief systems are gonna keep going like that into foreverness, because source doesn't shut off anything, or it doesn't destroy anything. It just lets it be. And then we have a choice to see when you tap into, how you tap into, in and out of it, in and out.
So in a way, we are constantly guided towards something. We are constantly expressing, and we are constantly being guided to express. So the more that we connect, and do you think that source always operates through a pure positive feeling?
The pure essence of being. And then it shows us in every single moment when you feel effort, it's showing us. That's what self-awareness means. It's like, I am pure beings as always, and now what am I filtering it through? It's like I always show, I don't have a glass of water, but I usually have a glass of water with you could have fruit in it, like an orange. Yeah. So in the glass, the orange remains an orange whatsoever. We cannot change that frequency of an orange. But when we look through the glass, we see the shape of the orange and the color as a distortion because of all the reflections in the room and through the glass. You could see, you are seeing the orange through a filter or a lens. But we know the orange is not distorted. No. So it's the same with us. We can never distort core frequency beingness. But when we put the lens on, to whatever expectations you have, or belief system, then we perceive it in lack or in distortion. And it's an amazing discovery for us to be, in order to be able to discern between the real you and the one in the reflections of your own belief system.
So what you're saying is the fact that everything that we need is already in our reality. Everything exists as source energy, and we are constantly evolving through source energy. We are constantly um, we are constantly being pushed by source energy to evolve. And through the conscious awareness that we have everything that we need, and through the fact that we can make peace with where we are instantly opening to source energy, and we are instantly in a more in tune state of consciousness, because we don't necessarily create the block of the belief. We don't necessarily create the block of the expectation. We don't create the block of the limit.
No,
We
it's just a mechanism to
Yeah, it's
show
just a
you.
mechanism.
That's it.
Yeah.
Nobody creates blocks, really. They just see the mechanism, and then it's, you could say, as long when you understand the mechanism, then you release that life force, because overwhelming is just your life force returning back to you, yeah, because you lock it in some little box called something like a belief system, and then when it comes back, when you understand, oh, I lock it, this is how I lock it, this is how I lock it, that's the very thing unlocks it. And then when it comes back, because you release it, it could feel very overwhelming, and people think it's fear, but it's their own energy returning, because you're summoning it back to you. And it's coming in that moment. And that happens many times per nanosecond, many times per day. Yeah, because you understand, you do this 16.5 seconds, you realign like that. You understand, I'm in a mirror, I'm not in a mirror, I'm in a mirror, I'm not in a mirror. Yeah. And then this is how many times per day you release yourself. And of course, it builds momentum. And then maybe you might have moments in our day that you feel overwhelmed and you think it's your circumstances, but it's not your circumstances, it's your own energy returning back. You could see returning back to you. It's really not returning, but that's a way to describe it, because you release it from this locking it into an algorithm, into the binary code, good and bad, light and dark. Yeah, those are like narratives.
Yeah. Interesting. So you said that whenever we feel tired, it's because our energy is coming back to us?
Yes. Sometimes you feel tired and overwhelmed and you think it's your fear or you think it's your problem, but it's actually at the level of your inner being. You keep unlocking yourself because you're free, or unlocking yourself from the illusion of being locked. Yeah, because now we know how we create from the illusion, because you're never locked.
Okay.
So very important right here. I'm going to stop just 1 second because it's so easy to miss this. We lock, or we create the illusion of being locked. We create the illusion of being locked. In a moment, we filter it to something. It's just a minute. We want to know how we create that illusion. And that's how simple it is.
So in a way, we are never separated from source. We are never separated from our true self.
How can we be? Because we notice, we observe. I run it through a mirror. That means we're still awake. I'm very aware. So how can we not be ourselves? Otherwise, you would notice. But we notice that, and we notice effort. We notice a feeling of effort and uncomfortableness. So we are still being ourselves, and we're guiding ourselves through this feeling of uncomfortableness.
I see. And what should we do when we feel the illusion of separation and the illusion of a block? What should we do in that moment?
Just notice it.
Just notice it. Okay.
That's what it's doing, the undoing, the untangling. The very fact that you notice, it does it on its own.
Yeah.
It also recalibrates us on its own, but we don't notice, because most of the time people, including humanity, they're very busy with subjects outside of themselves in circumstances. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're very busy trying to understand the mirror, straighten up the mirrors, the projections of everybody's belief system. And then while we're busy there, we don't notice how the alignment happens constantly.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is this
Through awareness, yeah, through this
yeah,
healing. Because
yeah,
we're busy with others and circumstances, and then we just took our focus, because our focus is between you and you alone.
yeah,
Always.
yeah,
Always. Otherwise, and it should be, because otherwise you're in a persona, you're in a character in a mirror. Yeah, you project, you put expectations on them, they put expectations on you, and then we meet in this thing called mirror, or the matrix of thousands of belief systems, and then we get very busy there, and we're basically roaming around in an astral realm, in a mental realm that doesn't even exist.
yeah,
See?
yeah.
And then persona to persona, now we just constantly playing back and forth what I believe about you and what I think about you and what you think about me, and it's got nothing to do with who we really are.
Yeah. So we yeah, and what do you think about the way our childhood is being formed? And I want to mention here education. What do you think? How healthy is this way of us being educated into the system? And if you think that is not something so beneficial, what would you replace it with? Because I believe that all the belief systems are coming from a sort of education, you know. And yes, we need maybe we do need programming. We need a certain type of programming. We need a certain type of education, because we cannot just be nothing and not learn anything. But I see all this stuff about competition. We are programmed into a competition, and we are programmed into a matrix that is based on competition. And those who have a lot of money, and those who have a lot of things, and the other ones, so in a way we are being separated. And
Okay,
you know
so let's go back to, you said something very important at the beginning of your sentence. Yeah, you said childlike, because children do not, children, yeah,
yeah,
childlike means that pure innocence, yeah, pure
yeah,
innocence they don't project anything on anybody. They walk out the door, they play with everybody, right? It
yeah,
doesn't matter. Yeah, they just want
yeah,
to play. Yeah.
yeah,
And so at the level of our beingness, that is our nature. Because even all the way until you're 100 years old, or whatever your age is, yes.
yeah.
And so, and through that playing, or through the passion, we discover many things, and then we went from discovery to like learn. Discovery means self-knowledge, knowledge of self, your pure essence of being. That's what really knowledge really means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that we
It's
don't have to learn. That way, that one we don't have to learn. Yeah, that's our original way of being. It's intrinsic, it's innate in us.
so we don't necessarily have to learn. We more like have to express.
Yes,
We have
exactly.
to discover ourselves through freedom, not through imprisonment of the mind.
Exactly. We have to express that which is innate in us in your own unique way, through your passion.
Yeah,
And it's not this thing called passion that's one thing in your life and you discover it. That'd be very boring. You'll be
yeah,
like,
it's
you
not.
discover you're passionate about many things,
Yeah,
right? You
about
express your
anything.
passion through many things, many things. Mhm.
So
And,
interesting.
and many, many, many beings on earth, even though they went through the so-called school system when they were giving a set of belief system or a set of pseudoscience, whatever, we still know we still know at the level of our beingness that the only reason we enter that is because we created it, so we can create the illusion of lack. So the schooling system is the best catalyst for us. The schooling, all the institutions, yeah, governments, religion, school, whatever institutions, they are, we created them as a catalyst.
As a catalyst for what?
For so it could show us that we could also lock ourselves, because nobody can lock you. No one can lock the soul. It's just a way of discovering how you create this illusion of lack. So in a way, we could say that we created the institutions. Yeah.
So do you think they are beneficial or they're not?
They're beneficial in this way, to act as a catalyst, to show us exactly what we locked ourselves. How, not what we locked into, but how is this mechanism that we come to begin in this illusion of lack, or in the illusion that what I want is not there, because it's there, it's your passion, it's always with you.
Yeah.
And this is very important. This is very important because like you asked something very deep, is how do we get rid of this institution, and do we repurpose? And I think we repurpose them, because we can take the structures of a society.
Yeah. We gotta maybe integrate into it and take the best out of it, and actually come with our spiritual perspective and try to improve it at a human level. Yeah, interesting.
We take the existing structure, and then through this knowledge of self, that it's only a social engineer persona that enters such a belief system, and through this point of awareness in your being, that's how we're going to repurpose it. Because when we understand the mechanism, they integrate right there in that moment. When you say it, you integrate it. You don't have to go outside and get rid of the politicians or get rid of the government, or you don't. You have to make this change in your understanding right here, right now. The way we talk, we make this, and then we reset everything from inside. Just like that. Isn't that magical?
It is. It's
magical.
We create our own subjective reality, and we do have the power to influence reality with our minds, with our way of what we focus on. If we focus on something, we shift it. If we choose not to focus on something, that thing actually disappears.
Exactly. And it's like because we cannot demonize the internet and Google and all this. We use them as a tool of consciousness. You know what I mean? We're not gonna get rid of it. We're gonna emerge from our being a different kind of internet. Yeah, we go until it fulfills its purpose, and then I already feel it. There is a brand new one emerging. I feel it. I know it's there.
Yeah,
just like a new system of exchange. It's not going to be called money. It's going to be called maybe a token or a sigil of our knowledge.
Yeah.
And
I have another question, and it's not related about what we have spoken about so far. It's about spiritual warfare and the dark and the light. Is there a battle between the light and the dark? And if there is, what is the purpose of this?
Okay, so the battle between the light and the dark is the battle within yourself. And when you battle, when you effort, that's the real battle.
I see. So there is no outer battle. It's only what's happening inside of our own consciousness and how we choose to alchemize it.
Yeah, because it's happening in the mirror of your belief system when you go in your being in there, and you have these contradictory currents in you. as a contradictory. Maybe there could be two thoughts in opposition of what you want. Yeah. So when you offer thoughts in opposition of what you want, you're going away from, because I needed some water.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So what were we speaking about? Opposition of thoughts, right?
Yeah, because somebody asked me the other day what ce înseamnă îndoială, what doubt means.
Doubt, yeah, doubt.
It's important because it's like when you understand what doubt really means, how you create doubt, then you know what doubt is. Until then, you don't know. So doubt is actually, you could say it's worry, or worry and doubt is like a sister of fear. And how do we create doubt? Is in the moment we create it, in the moment we offer thoughts in opposition of what we want. For example, let's say you know you want to go to a store, and in order to do that, you could you walk out the door and you are going to turn right, and that's what's going to take you to your store. Yeah. But while all the way you know that, you're going to talk, how bad it is if I turn left, how many things are going to happen, and how you're not going to get to your store. You're never going to get to your store because you're talking about what you don't want. And unfortunately, humanity spends thousands of hours every day talking about what they don't want.
We are.
And so when we talk about what we don't want, and if you just want to know the mechanism on how you arrive at how you don't want, because you're offering thoughts on opposition, then we stop right there. Because otherwise we keep talking about what we don't want, what we don't want, and then what we want, it looks like it's not appearing, but it's there. It's while all the way what we want, meaning the store you want to go to, it's there, the store is there, but our focus is on the absence of what we want, where we keep talking about what we don't want. And then the meaning we're turning left, and we expect to arrive to the store. We can't, even though the store is there.
Can you give me 10 seconds? I'll be right back.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry. Okay. Okay, so I'm back.
So basically, when we talk about what we don't want, is you could also say we're talking about the reflections of our belief system, because our belief systems, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want this. And basically we're saying that I can't have this, I can't have this. And that's not true, because we know the store is there, have it. See how funny it is? It's funny, actually. And then we end up into so-called the astral realm, or the mental realm, or the projections of what I don't want. And then we have this cross current, what I'm speaking about. I want, I don't want. I want to go to the store, but I want to focus on how I cannot get there. And the reason for it.
And I think we create that because of fear.
We create because we don't understand this very simple mechanism that it's about our focus, is in a direction of what you want or not. That's how we create fear, right there, right? Like that's simple. You see, we call it this thing called fear, but it's such a simple thing. You laugh. That's how simple it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We give this big name, and then it's like we live with it for centuries. It's just go right,
Just go do it. Just go do it. Or just go do it. Or if you don't do it, don't be in a mental trip of the fact that you didn't do it, because we often
Exactly.
judge ourselves and we often regret things, but we
Yeah, then
always
the
have.
regret come. I'm actually looking for your questions. That's why I'm looking, because I want to answer them, because they tie up in what we are arriving in our discussion. It's very like right there,
Okay.
because you asked about the let's see. I am looking. Yes, it does. There it is. What about the archonic implants? Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard
So
about this lately, and it got me questioning what they are actually, and how do they really affect us?
yes. So now we have to, there is an understanding that we all know at our level of our being is that not everybody that has a human body is a human being.
Okay.
That should settle it. Yeah.
Okay.
We have clones and everything else. Yeah. And that's not something new. That's been with humanity thousands of years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have soulless, it's like you could program, yeah, part of that's how artificial intelligence really gets created. Yeah, that's
I
how
see.
it creates. It takes that projection of ourselves in a mirror, how we see ourselves in a mirror, or that social engineer persona, and you could call that an archonic program. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that would be very accurate, a very accurate explanation. So um, but you know the difference between you and a program. You do,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Of course. Of course.
So archonic implants can only be planted into those kind of entities that have a human body, but they're not human beings. They don't belong to the human race. They
Oh.
just
Okay.
got it. Okay,
Got it. Got it.
got it. That's it. Leave it there because it's very clear. They don't
Okay.
belong to the human race.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And then you have another question, was really nice. Let me see if I can find it with, through chat. Yeah, here it is, I think. Oh, yeah, yes. And this ties it up with talk about the dark lords and the agents that come to reclaim our soul. But they can't.
Yeah.
They claim the program back to it so they can reprogram. They cannot claim us. We're not even in the same, because that happens in a mirror belief system. It doesn't happen in our natural timeline.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen to any soul being, any human being. That does not happen.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you. Thank you. You in a way fixed my question.
There you go.
So yeah, interesting. I think it's enough for today, actually.
Yes, it is.
And thank you for the amazing perspective, Felicia. Like always, you are appreciated, you are loved. Where are you from? I think you are Romanian, right?
Yeah, I'm from Arad.
Okay, okay. Nice, nice. I'm from Mediaș.
Oh, not very far
Not very far, I think. Yeah. And where do
from
you live
my.
now?
I live in Portland, Oregon, United States,
Ooh,
West Coast.
West Coast. Nice. Yay. Guys, thank you for watching. This was Consciously Awakening podcast series episode 6. We had Felicia Noel and we really went deep. What do you think we should call this podcast? What do you think we should call it?
Oh, should we call it mirror on a wall, or should we call it? What do you think? Like something like very. What do you think was like? What was it that was like a that through our conversation that
It's
really.
like it amazed me the fact that we are always connected to our true nature and we are always connected to source energy. Maybe we should call it the power of source energy and how to connect to it.
Sure, why
Yeah,
not?
yeah,
Yes.
perfect, perfect.
Will you put it on YouTube?
Of course, I'll send you the link so you can share it with whoever you want to share it.
Thank you so much because they're waiting for it.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you as well. Guys,
God
thank you for
bless you.
watching
Thank you.
and see ya on what is coming up next. I'm gonna stop the recording now and I'm going to sleep. I'm gonna go take a shower and I'm gonna go to sleep. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you and see ya on what is coming up next. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.